Welcome to the Purposely Aligned Entrepreneur Podcast presented by Boss Girl Creative. This is episode number 465. Today I'm talking about email marketing. Now let's dive in. Have you already found business success but feel lonely at the top? Or do you feel like you're at a place in your business where others just don't get it? Or maybe you feel like you have to make yourself smaller in order for others to not feel less than. Or maybe just a little bit of all three. But with all that said, there is good news because I've been there and I see you, sister. I'm Taylor Bradford, the torchbearer of this podcast and sisterhood, and I'm here to lead and inspire you to stay purposely aligned in the success you have found and provide you with support, guidance, and a sisterhood to keep going. Because I do get it. Your business journey isn't meant to be traveled alone. So grab a notebook, your favorite pen, and a bevy, and let's dive into this together with this latest podcast episode. Welcome to the Purposely Aligned Entrepreneur Podcast presented by Boss Girl Creative and me. Hey, welcome to this episode of the Purposely Aligned Entrepreneur Podcast. I am your host, Taylor Bradford. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are going to be talking about email marketing. And the whole reason I'm bringing this topic back to the surface is it's been quite a while since I talked about email marketing. And considering that email list building and your website are the two things that you have complete control over, it's time to bring our focus back to growing email lists, and that is what this episode is all about today. Before I get there, let's find out what's been going on in social media land. Social media headline number one, Meta implements new AI disclosure requirements. Meta needs to make a clear stand against the expanded use of AI images. Social media headline number two, TikTok establishes new licensing agreement with Universal Music. UMG artists are returning to TikTok. Social media headline number three, Instagram updates its feed algorithm to prioritize original and emerging creators. If it can accurately detect and recommend original posts, that could be a major win for both creators and users. Keeping with Instagram, they are now testing a clear mode for Reels, an easy way to view Reels without all of the on-screen clutter. And finally, with Instagram, they have now added 4 new interactive sticker options for your Instagram stories. Have you checked them out yet? And that wraps up this week's social media headlines. Okay, so let's dive in to email marketing. And the whole reason I'm bringing this up again, repeating myself, is that growing your email list is something that you have full control over. You will never lose access to the algorithm. Like, it is something that you own, and you should be putting a lot of time and attention into growing your email list. And then also your website, writing blog posts, making sure your landing pages stay SEO friendly and are attracting, the types of clients that you want to serve. And whether that means you get really good at copywriting or you hire somebody that is really good at copywriting, both your email list and your website should be like where you're focusing time and attention, with social media being like in your third place, right? So the website and your email marketing efforts should be where your top 2 priorities lie with your business, because it is things that you can control the most. Recently, out on my social experiment, the second Instagram account that I created, I did a little mini email marketing kind of mini workshop on my Instagram stories. The whole purpose of me doing kind of these things out on Instagram, giving these things away for free, is to show that I do know what I'm talking about as a coach in the business world, but also as a mentor and somebody that can guide you through your journey of growing a digital marketing business. And so I'm trying to establish credibility. I'm trying to establish authority, etc. And so I just did, I think it was like 15 slides long. It talked about email sequencing, just a regular email, like send out when it's something that goes out weekly, or it's something that goes out monthly or every 2 weeks, however you normally send out your emails. And what the difference in email sequencing or email flows, same thing, between those kinds of things and actually just sending out like a monthly update. And it was well received. I still have a very small following on that account, but I feel like I'm starting to gain some traction, which is why I want to really start diving into kind of like these little nuggets for that account. So that is what brought this back top of mind. And when I went back into the archives to find out when I last talked about email lists, it was quite some time ago. And I wanted to be able to pull data and like my own show notes and all of that for me to create these slides for this account. And so I used the Otter app to transcribe the audios from those past episodes so that I could pull that data out. And then I went into ChatGPT and said, create me a slideshow from the information that I gave in this podcast episode. And then I pasted in the entire content and it gave me 15 slides per episode that I did that with, which makes things so easy when it comes to creating like small nuggets of information. And I didn't have to go back in and read my full transcript. It was able to pull out that information for me, which was so genius. So here we are talking about email marketing and email lists and making it a focus. And I wanted to pull some stats from Opt-in Monster. I don't personally use Opt-in Monster, but I do know people that do use it. But they basically keep a thumb on the email marketing like stats, that segment of the industry. So I wanted to figure out, like, have they updated stats for 2024? And yes, they did. It actually was written on March 15th. So they have 40 plus email marketing stats that you need to know for 2024. I'm not going to talk about all of them because I do want to get into like ideas for you to grow your email list. But here we are, some email usage statistics. One of the biggest benefits of using email to communicate with your customers is that nearly everyone uses email. In fact, 92% of online adults use email, with 61% using it on an average day. And more people are using it year after year. The number of email users worldwide is approximately 4.5 billion in 2024, and that number is projected to grow to over 4.8 billion by 2027. Plus, nearly 361 billion emails are sent each day, and this number is expected to reach 408 billion in 2027. People aren't just using email to connect with family and friends either. 60% of consumers prefer to be contacted by brands through email, which is good news for your business. Even better news, 88% of email users check their inbox multiple times a day, according to a 2023 survey of email users. Here are some of their findings. 39% check their email 3 to 5 times a day. 27% check their email 10 to 20 times a day. 22% check their email 20 plus times a day. 8.5% check their email once a day, and 3.5% don't check their email every day. This frequency isn't likely to change anytime soon because 81% of Gen Z members check their email at least once a day. That is some really fantastic news for those of us that are looking to grow our email list, or are looking to boost our growth with our email lists, or looking to start brand new or start over or reviving a list. So I wanted to be able to provide you those statistics because I think it's important for us to realize that more than half of email users actually want to hear from brands through email. And what I think that is, because as a consumer, this is how I view getting on a brand's email list. it allows me some control over when I then interact with the brand. And then it also allows me to see what's going on with the brand when I want to see what's going on with the brand. And so I do think that this is what makes email marketing really impactful. In fact, according to a 2023 B2B marketing survey, 50% of B2B marketers say that email marketing is the most impactful channel in their multi-channel marketing strategy. So how often are you currently utilizing your email list? I know for me, when I started going through some changes in my personal life, and when I was switching assistants, I was basically offloading one and onboarding another, that the Boss Girl Creative email list and also the Sugar Creek Event Rentals email list kind of went into this holding pattern, and I owe both lists an email. And I'm shame on me for putting that on the back burner, but ultimately I got to get my brain back in that space, because I've just been in this space of, I don't want to say limping along, but I have been so just like distracted with so many different things that it's taken me off kilter a bit. And so I am ready to refocus, especially after realizing that I hadn't talked about email marketing in quite some time on the podcast. And I do think it is something, as the stats show, something that we need to be focused on and focused in. So let's talk about some strategies on how we go about either reviving our list or starting a brand new list. And I'm considering looking at doing a challenge for you to grow your email list, and we'll do it together. So I'm going to put that out to the universe that I'm going to start looking into creating like a 5-day challenge or a 7-day challenge related to email marketing and growing your list. So stay tuned for that. If you're interested in doing something like that, pop over to my Instagram at Boss Girl Creative and send me a DM and say, hey, I would really like to participate in an email marketing challenge or an email list growing challenge. So again, pop over to my Instagram and let me know if that is something that you would be interested in. So Instagram is at Boss Girl Creative, and drop me a DM, because I would really like to know if this is something that you'd be interested in. Now, I've heard some stats say every email subscriber on your list can equate to $1 extra in revenue a month. And if that is the case, we are all missing out if our focus hasn't been email lists. That is a really eye-opening statistic, that for every person that you get on your list, you can potentially make $1 extra a month in revenue, if not more. But $1 extra, that's pretty fantastic, especially as you grow your list, because it just means people are going to be purchasing from you. The whole purpose of an email list is for you to be providing them value in exchange for their email, right? So now you have proven that you are giving value and that you're going to continue to give value, which means your list is warm. You are not having to cold call the people that are sitting on your list because they legitimately gave you their email in exchange for value. So let's talk about some ways that you can infuse or get better or just make a focus towards growing your email list and how you go about doing that. So make sure, so when people see you out on social media or when they see you out on your website, you probably have a voice in a certain way. You know what I'm saying? Like, you are presenting yourself in a certain way, and maybe your personality doesn't fully shine through in those efforts. Maybe you allow yourself to show off more of your personality as you are building your email list, because it gives those subscribers kind of a sneak peek, a pull back the curtain moment to really get to know you. And that starts with sharing photos of yourself or sharing photos that mean something to you and your brand. If you are in this as a faceless creator, then your visual content really does matter, and how you attention grab somebody when you aren't showing your face. And so your Opt-ins need to have something really memorable that can allow your personality to be magnified to get people to want to subscribe to your list. But if you are face forward, if you are the face of your brand, then make sure to include your face on your opt-ins so that people realize there is a human behind the actual brand. So I've heard people say this over and over throughout the years that you do want to provide something of value in exchange for somebody's email address. So I want you to think about, like, who are you serving with your business, with your brand, and what solution are you offering them? What little bite-sized nugget would be valuable enough for them to say, you know what, I want to start this email relationship with this brand, and they are giving me exactly what I've been hunting for. What is that thing that they've been hunting for? It can be a small piece of the pie. It doesn't have to be the whole thing, or it could be the whole kit and caboodle of one of the things that they're struggling with, or one of the things that they're looking for a solution. Or maybe it's a different kind of opt-in based on where they're coming in and opting in at. So maybe it's a blog post or a podcast episode or a YouTube video. How are people coming back to your actual website? And then serving up a freebie based on the channel that they are coming in through. Making sure that you're segmenting your list. So for example, on my experiment Instagram, I'm actually selling through a platform called Stan Store, which I do have a 14-day free trial for you if you're interested in utilizing Stan Store. What's really great about Stan Store is it creates an actual shopping cart experience on your Instagram and allows you to set up landing pages, allows you to sell your things without them actually leaving Instagram. And it's a really powerful tool, and you can get 14 days free to test out all of their major features. And then if you want to move forward beyond the 14 days, there's a $29 plan, and then there's the bigger plan, which is $99 a month. And you can take advantage of that offer by going to bossgirlcreative.com/Stan Store, STANSTORE, all one word, bossgirlcreative.com/Stan Store. So with my Stan Store offerings, I am able to link MailChimp, which is still the email provider that I've been using. I can go in and create a tag based on the thing that they are purchasing or downloading if it's a freebie. And then I'm able to communicate to those people based on the tag that I see that gets attributed to them in my MailChimp dashboard. And then I can really target in on, okay, now I can see where they have their interest or what solution they were looking for. And now I can create a sequence that helps further nurture them in exactly where they are at, if that makes sense. I think something else that we all need to consider is when we're writing emails is that there is a strong call to action as to what you want them to do next. Whether that is just getting to know you more, or whether that is you starting a sales funnel, whether that is you giving a sneak peek on something you're working on, whatever it might be, this is how you utilize your list. And I think that sometimes we forget that we actually have to make the ask. People are not going to be offended by you asking. At the end of the day, the worst thing that can happen is they either unsubscribe or they just close out the email. That's your kind of internet no. That's the worst that can happen. And if they unsubscribe, they weren't your ideal client to begin with. They were just looking for the freebie, and you're just going to have to know that that is going to happen and not get hurt by that. But before you actually kind of gain some momentum by making those asks, you do have to show up where they are hanging out. So if Instagram is their platform of choice, how often are you showing up on Instagram? Right now, with this social experiment, I am producing 2 reels a day and showing up 10 to 20 times in stories. This is where my focus is. I did start utilizing Otter to create a transcript that will also pull some audio snippets out. And my assistant is basically taking audio snippets out of my podcast episodes and creating reels to post on Boss Girl Creative's Instagram. because I just didn't have the bandwidth to be able to focus in and do 2 reels a day on that account. And then also remember that I probably need to be nurturing Boss Girl Creative's Instagram and to, really focus. And I'm just pulled in too many directions, which is why I have help. And, but I do think it's important that you show up where these people are hanging out. Is it Pinterest? Is it Facebook? Is it Instagram? Is it TikTok? Wherever it might be, you definitely need to make sure that you are showing up, you are giving value, you are showing that you are interested in their journey, that you are there to nurture and support them. And then when they do finally click on one of your calls to action, whether it's follow my Instagram or like this post or sign up for this freebie on my Instagram or through my email list, they're going to do it because you have built that relationship with them. The relationship is very important. It has to be nurtured. And then once you get them on the list, you have to continue to nurture them. And finally, don't be scared to run multiple opt-ins at the same time, because you never know what somebody in your ideal audience, what that ideal customer is actually looking for in that moment. You know, big picture, what they're searching for, but you don't know to the nitty gritty if it's this thing this week. Maybe that thing is next week. So it's okay to kind of A/B test how your opt-ins are working throughout a segmented period of time, and to run multiple opt-in offers and figure out okay, you can share this opt-in offer on Pinterest this week, and you can share the other opt-in offer on Instagram this week, and then you can share the other opt-in offer through your actual email list. Get creative and don't be scared to run more than one opt-in offer, because you don't exactly know where your ideal customer is in their specific journey. You know what solution you're providing, but you don't exactly know if they are there for that particular thing you're trying to get them to do in that moment. So here are some places where you can share those opt-in offers. They can be through pop-ups on your website, in your Instagram posts, in your Facebook posts, through Facebook ads if you're running ads, on podcasts, actually in your email list, in your Instagram bio, or through Pinterest. These are places that you can consistently push your opt-ins without completely overwhelming your audience. So to recap, you want to consider having an opt-in linked every single week, whether it's 1 or 2 or 3 or just 1, and whether that is a content upgrade to the thing that you have produced, whether it's an old opt-in or whether it's a brand new one. Consider how you can keep your opt-in offers being marketed. And then if you want to dabble in Facebook ads, this is where you can dabble in your different opt-in opportunities. And then finally, don't be scared to test, because that's kind of where we all are with running a business. If this were easy, everybody would be doing it. It is not, which is why people aren't. So making sure that you are okay with experimenting, making sure that you're okay with pivoting. A failure in business is not the end of the road. Truly, let me repeat that. A failure in business is not the end of the road. It is what you do with that failure, how you pick yourself up and how you pivot and how you keep moving forward. It is going to happen. Things are not going to, get hit out of the park on your very first at bat. If that were the case, we would all be swinging, grand slams or whatever, but we're not, and it's business, and we're human, and this is a lot of trial and error and experimentation, and you're just gonna have to be okay with that. Okay? Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Again, if you would be interested in an email list building challenge, pop over to my Instagram at Boss Girl Creative and send me a DM saying that you would be interested, because I am curious to know where we all are in our email list building strategies and where we are in actually communicating via email and all of that jazz. Again, if you want to take advantage of that Stan Store opportunity, a 14-day free trial, go to bossgirlcreative.com/Stan Store to check it out. And until next time, I hope you have a great rest of your week. Oh, wait, before I go, thank you truly for your support of my own business journey and this podcast, The Purposely Aligned Entrepreneur. If you know another entrepreneur who is in the same business trenches, who has already found success but might be feeling a bit lonely in their journey, my hope is that you'll share this podcast and this sisterhood with them. Because this, what we do day in and day out, isn't meant to be done alone. Speaking of lonely, if you're ready to squash the business journey loneliness, stop what you're doing right now and join the sisterhood. Visit bossgirlcreative.com/sisterhood. I can't wait to see you in there.